but Supergirl doesn't have to have Lemsip.
Is this what all the crossovers are like?
Not exactly.
Hello, I'm Phil. Welcome to the last of my Crisis on Infinite Earths review. I'm going to roll in the last two episodes because they aired on the same night into one review, one spoiler-free review, because I know a lot of my viewers are based in the UK, as am I, but they might not have seen it. I have, but they might not have, so I don't want to spoil it for them. So this is a spoiler-free zone, so you don't have to worry. But I gave my thoughts on the first three episodes of the crossover, so I wanted to give my thoughts on the last. I have been waiting for this crossover since the beginning of The Flash, when it was first hinted at in that newspaper from the future that said Flash disappears in Crisis. Anyone who followed DC Comics lore will know what the word crisis means. And the biggest crisis is kind of it's a term they use for quite regular events when they want to reset some continuity in the DC Comics universe. But the biggest one of them all was Crisis on Infinite Earths in the 80s. Massive big comic. I've got the trade paperback somewhere up in my parents' loft. It was epic. It reshaped the whole of the DC universe. So obviously we've been anticipating it for quite a while. And did it live up to it? Well, I haven't read the comic in a long time. Probably over 15 years ago was the last time I read it. But I would say for the most part, it did what you could expect it to do on a TV budget. It was never going to be as epic as it was in the comic itself. For starters, they haven't established quite as many heroes as existed in the DC universe at the time of 1985. That comic pretty much used every single hero from the DC universe. And the Arrowverse just hasn't established that many, so it was always going to be on a smaller scale. But for knowing that and going into that, I think this did a stand-up job of adapting it is the word I'm looking for there. Stand-up job. It showed us multiple worlds, even if most of them were only glimpses. It brought in heroes from different worlds, and we got to see the fact that so many of the DC TV and movie properties over the years that we have loved are all connected in this multiverse. And that's now canon. That is there, and I love that. Talking of cameos, these two episodes did have some. The second episode, right near the end, flashed through a load of alternative Earths, and we saw even more TV shows that we know of, and some that are coming up, maybe, as well. But the biggest cameo, I would say, out of these two episodes, there was just one in the part 4 of Crisis on Infinite Earths. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it is groundbreaking for what it means in terms of corporate synergy, and yeah, it was amazing to have. And it wasn't just a fleeting 2-second thing either, like some of the flashes to other worlds. This was a nice scene between two characters, and I really appreciated them putting this in here. This is these two characters I kind of anticipated. If they were gonna go this route, these would be the two characters that would meet. And they did it, and I think it's brilliant for just generally what it means and how expansive and big the multiverse now is. So what about the episodes themselves? The first episode I thought was a quite good conclusion to the main plot, the plot we had been building up this whole time. We'd left them at the end of part 3 in a very precarious situation, a bunch of our heroes. And it was we didn't know how they were going to get out of it. I think some of the logic of how they got out of it didn't necessarily make sense. But I have a vague recollection of that same weird logic being in the comic as well. And it might have something to do with the fact that the way the antimatter wave destroys things goes back gradually in time. So even if the worlds have been destroyed, some worlds have been destroyed early on, they're not... Anyway, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly, or the other way around. But that first episode was quite a nice conclusion, and it was the Arrow episode. It was very Oliver Queen focused in parts. Not completely, but Oliver Queen got a lot of screen time in that, and it was appreciated. I think it finally rounded out the sort of closure to his character and to his story, and it was a nice ending for him. I say ending, there's still 1 or 2 more Arrow episodes left to air. after this, so I don't know where they're going to go with this. I will say that it left it ambiguous what Oliver's fate is. It's hinted to be a certain way, but it's not absolutely cemented. So what's going on in the next 2 episodes might just be other characters reacting, or it might, I don't know, who knows. But whatever we get in the next 2 hour episodes, I think this is quite a nice narrative conclusion for his arc over the last 8 years. And then the second episode felt a bit strange at first, and I was a little bit, the first quarter of the episode, I'd say, first maybe quarter to a third of the episode, I was thinking, this feels like a weird tacked on epilogue that doesn't really feel like it should be there. It doesn't feel like it's part of the main Crisis on Infinite Earth story. It got better as the episode went on, and the last third kind of more directly tied into it, I think. But it did kind of feel like the story had wrapped up, and now they were just adding this extra bit on, which felt a little bit strange. Not all of the characters got screen time over these 2 episodes. Like I say, Oliver did. I would say Supergirl got a fair amount. The new character, oh God, what's his name? I've forgotten his name already. In the comics, he becomes Atom. Chow? Is that his name? I can't remember. He got a decent amount of character development in this, I thought. There wasn't much from Kate Kane, Batwoman. There wasn't that much from... there was some nice stuff for Lex Luthor in these 2 episodes. Who else was there? There wasn't that much from the Martian Manhunter. I'm trying to think who else. Who are the main characters? Barry got some good moments. More in terms of reacting to other stuff that was happening around him rather than anything being directly tied to his character, I think. So it was a bit of a mixed bag. And one thing in the second episode that I was a little bit disappointed about, because it was the Legends of Tomorrow episode of this crossover, is that there weren't that many legends in it. You had Sarah, you had Ray, and you had Rory were kind of the main 3. And then you had a sort of cameo from 2 others. And that was kind of it. Although it was nice to see in the Legends episode a tie back to a creature that, let's just say, that is synonymous with Legends of Tomorrow now. And one of their more comical ones play a part in that episode. So that was quite nice. But I would have been nice to see a few more of the Legends turn up. How it leaves it off, though, it completely has upended the status quo of the Arrowverse. Completely. As I think most people were expecting it to. And what's going to happen from now on, I don't know. But I'm quite excited to see. There's a few narrative threads that are set up in this that I'm really excited to see how it's going to go forward. And whether or not it just gets referenced more in the future crossover episodes, or if it's actually going to play a part in their individual stories as well. How much of an effect this is going to have on the individual shows on a week-to-week basis, and not just in the big crossover sense. There's one thing that pops up in this last episode as a consequence that I think will definitely tie into one of the shows, and that's Supergirl's status quo. I think probably is the most changed out of any of them, with where certain characters are at the end. So I think we'll see that on a more day-to-day basis. I'm interested to see how that will tie into Lana Luthor as well, Lena Luthor, sorry, Lana. Lena Luthor as well, because she wasn't in these episodes, but the new status quo that has been established in terms of where the characters are in relation to each other on Supergirl, that could be an interesting aspect to explore, given the story arc they've had so far this season. So yeah, I've really enjoyed this crossover. I've been anticipating it for a few years, and I don't think it disappointed. Yeah, it could have been bigger, it could have been epicer if they'd had, movie style budgets, if they'd had even more heroes, if they'd had even longer to tell it. But I think with the TV restrictions they had, they did a really good job, and I'm very pleased and very excited to see where the individual shows go next. Let me know what you thought of it. Did it live up to your expectations? Did you enjoy it? What would you have changed? What would you have done differently? Let me know all those things in the comments below. And yeah, I will cover the Arrowverse more on this channel. Maybe not in I'm not going to start weekly reviewing the episodes or anything, but I might do some additional content around that, because I do really enjoy these shows. So if you want more of that, let me know in the comments below as well. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and all that jazz, and I will see you for more pop culture content soon. Bye.